There we go. Cool.
Hey, do you need to be quiet in here?
What's that?
You need to be quiet in here?
Oh, I'm just doing a video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have someone meeting me here.
Let's see if I can just put you go, yo, brother.
Is that coffee? Delivered? Cool. Best one, bro. Yeah, that. Tasty high off of that. Cool.
All right.
Oh, this is my better one. Yeah, video.
Cool. Let's see.
Grandma's calling today? Huh? Grandma's calling today? Grandma's gone. Grandma's getting closed. Let me go over there.
All right.
Okay.
Power down. Where are we at?
Oh, to get what? Her price back to what it was. I had it on the other one, but it's the first time I'm using it. I don't know if it's gonna work or not.
You called the carriers and make it,
Yeah. For some reason, well, they were closed yesterday and then they were closed today too. So I asked, yeah, the person at Legacy, they didn't respond yet.
Let's see.
Maybe get his contracts.
Okay.
thanks Alex for what?
Well, I don't know if it's a holiday, so it's like, we need answers now, you know?
So Alex,
He doesn't respond. He's in Miami out of town fucking with his boys and, you know?
yeah, you can get it.
He is for sure gay.
Has to be it. Has to be. Okay.
But
Okay.
I think we just see what he says, what Paul says, right?
Only thing here is that I don't want him like screwing us somehow one day. Right?
I don't think he can. Yo, are there keys in my truck, by the way? No. Do you see keys there or no? I'll check them later.
Yes. Silver keys, yeah.
Quarter keys or like quarter keys? No, us keys, gold keys, no?
I'd say no.
Truck's set there.
That's good. Things fast too, man. We're pausing at 1 p.m. East today.
Yeah, no, 1 p.m.
Yeah,
PST.
PST.
Right, that's what MST. Person came last night?
Yeah, like 2:40 p.m.
Oh.
No, that's PST. It's supposed to be 1 p.m. MST, right?
MST, yeah. I think it's the same though now.
It's not right now. It's 1 hour ahead.
All right. Cool. So,
Hmm?
what we have. Test this. Cool.
Oh, she called you or no?
No, yeah. Grandma.
All
I'm
right.
gonna use American Animal Football
All right.
for the first time.
It's the first time?
Cool. Let's see.
weight, eh?
Who?
You. How much weight did you lose?
Like 35 pounds?
35 pounds? In how long? 6 months?
Like 4 or 5.
Pound, yeah, 10 pounds a month.
Well, it kind of plateaued after, like, honestly, most of it was like the first 3. And then it kind of just
That's insane.
stayed level.
You're lifting heavier? Huh? Yeah? Like what are your these,
What?
like what do you split up your workouts with?
Upper, lower.
That's it?
Yeah, soft switches, upper, lower.
Really? So you don't do like push, pull for upper,
Yeah, like push, pull, upper, lower.
and then you'll do, so on, say on Monday you'll do what? Just everything upper?
Yeah, so it'll be,
Let's call this lady and then we'll talk about it after. I put all of her info already into,
I'll just, into what? Oh, you still have it saved?
yeah, into American Amicable. I just need her social and her account number.
Alright, so I got this.
So we can see what
Got
we're
'em.
doing on the screen.
Yeah.
All right. I have. All right, cool. So, all right. All right. So you're. All right. So you can hear me, right? Cool beans, cool beans. Hey, just to let you know, I'm actually live right now. If you're okay with that. Yep. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So, let me see if I can find this. Trying to set it up here. Okay. Hold on, I need a pen real quick. All right, cool. That's fine. Alrighty then. Cool, cool, cool. Cool. All right, Jay. So we're set up. We're live. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna put it on. Okay, I got my earbuds on. Okay, so you can hear me, right? Cool. So, just real quick, I will introduce.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello. Hey.
So it's live. It's live. I got him. Okay. Yep.
They come too.
Okay, so that's 2. Alrighty. Cool. Is everybody here? Cool beans, cool beans. All right. So I'm gonna set this up real quick. Where did it say? Oh, okay. Hold on. This is on right now. Makes it full screen. It should be working, right? Okay, cool. Oh, hold on. Cool. You guys ready? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so just to let you know, yeah, so we're gonna go, even though it's a test, we're gonna go live here, so that way you know, right? Yeah, and you're okay with this? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Let me go ahead, live. All right, cool. All right, let me see where we're at. Cool, cool, cool. Let's see here. All right, give me a countdown. Let's see here. Good. It's gonna be cool. Right there. Cool. All right. All right. Pause. All right, everything's set up. Cameras, everything. All right, you guys can hear me from the back, right? Cool. Yeah, because I have my earbuds in right now, so. All right, so everything's set up. Why does this keep? It's supposed to be ending right there. Oh, no. Cool. All right, welcome back, guys. We're going into this communication setup that I talked about this morning. So I had to kind of reset everything. Cameras, everything was kind of messed up. And I can actually hear myself echo. That's not good. Hold on one second. Okay, cool. All right, so you guys can't hear it from my end, but I'm going to be talking with Bradley on the other end, so that way you guys can kind of get the context of what he's talking about. So you guys are going to be able to hear him, but not from myself, because if I did, then it'll echo back and forth, right? So just first off, Brad, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you with, and what is it that you're doing right now? Okay, that's good. Okay, so what's cool? All right, so real quick, tell the audience as to why you're here right now. What is it that you're trying to get out of this, per se? Okay. All right. So you want to get better with the way you speak, right? Okay. And why do you think, just for the audience to know, why do you think that maybe the way you're speaking is not where it needs to be? Okay. Yeah. Because I can tell you right now, like even you asking the questions, and look, I always tell people this is like one of the biggest things that most people like kind of get offended to, right? You cannot get offended when somebody's giving you advice, because when that happens, that's where you can't grow, right? And what you need to do first and foremost is kind of take a step back and ask yourself, why am I here in the first place? Otherwise, and I'll be completely honest with you guys as well, right? I should be actually pointing at the camera than here, is that you guys are not going to be able to get better unless you guys can, you know, accept criticism. And that's what, this is what this is about. It's not just with you, it's everybody else that's trying to get better, right? So in this case, tell me, like, give me an example of you doing a meeting. Anything. It can be anything. I don't care what it is. Or how about today? You did a meeting today, right? Cool. So tell me how that verbatim, how you did it, do it your way, pretend I'm not here, pretend you're doing a meeting with us. Go. You're standing, right? You're sitting? Did you do the meeting standing or sitting? Okay, so you're standing. Okay, cool. All right, that's fine. I just wanted to know. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, pause. Okay, so you understand, and you're saying that meeting, did you get a sense of how everybody else was reacting to that? Yeah. And what was going through your mind? Okay. And how long has this happened? Like, has this happened recently? Has this happened in the past? I mean, how would you say, like, has this always happened? Okay. And why do you think that is? Okay. Were you just recently promoted? No. Okay. Let me ask you this. Does your boss talk like that as well, or is that just like you? Okay. Like, I don't know if you know this, but when you speak, you sound, again, we're here to learn, right? You sound like you're very unsure about what you're saying. It's just jitters? Is it just you being nervous? I mean, what's going through your mind? Okay. Okay. So you're doing this out of fear. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, it's out of fear. Okay. So here's the reality, right? First and foremost, what you need to understand is this, right? And for you folks, actually, I know you can't hear him from the other end. I'm just trying to understand him. So when Bradley is doing his talk, he's going in, he's like, yeah, so guys, we need to, do things better. I'll kind of give you the snippet. I'm just going to kind of I'm going to put myself as if I'm actually Bradley, right? So Bradley, even though we can't hear him on the other end, I'm going to do my best to mimic the way Bradley speaks, right? So Bradley says, hey everybody, thank you for coming here today. I really want to tell you that you guys, we have certain things that we got going on, and this is unacceptable. Okay, this is unacceptable because we have to do better. But at the same time that we are here, we have to know what we're doing at all times, because if we don't, then things are going to go in different directions, and we need to stay on task. We need to do these things, and it's no hit to any of you guys. You guys just need to understand that I'm trying to tell you guys that you need to do better, but at the same time, understand what the business wants, right? So, and I'm going to say this, okay? Tried my best. Right? Type 1 in the chat that I'm terrible right now, okay? Type 2 if I'm okay. So that's how Brad sounds like, right? So I'm going to take it back to Brad as I'm talking to you guys, the speakers, they're the audience. So when you guys are doing a meeting, first off, there has to be intention. Okay, but at the same time, there's a way to do it, okay? The way I've noticed about and Brad, here's another thing too. I'm just gonna speak on you and everybody else is gonna hear me, okay? Brad, what I've noticed about the way you speak to your people, it sounds like they're getting in trouble, right? Is that the case? Okay. From the way you spoke about it, I can tell you right now, not everybody's going to be receptive to that. There's going to be probably a few. If nobody's receptive to that, they have every right to be, right? Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be scolded. Okay, nobody wants to. Even the worst of the worst employees don't like to be scolded to. I always believe that you cannot fight fire with fire, okay? Again, just like in sales, you have to put yourself in a position to seek to understand, not to seek to win. Okay? You win by coming up with a solution where both of you win. Okay? It cannot be between, you're wrong and I'm right and vice versa. That's not how this works. Okay? And you have to put yourself in that position. You just can't, right? So it's very combative, and it's fine because you've been practicing this your whole life, right? But what I'm saying is that there's so many things that you can do, right? Like the way you mentioned it, right? So I'll give you an example. When you did your meetings, it's a little combative. What you need to do is you come in, first and foremost, right? You always want to go in, shake everybody's hands, high five, let everybody know what's going on. You basically talk to them from a humanistic level, even if that's a freaking word. You got to get to know them on a personal basis and get to know them deeply, because every business out there, I'm going to be completely honest with you right now, they're so focused on numbers, they're so focused on metrics that they forget to focus on the people, and the people are the ones who drive it, okay? And the one thing that you cannot really gauge is emotion. And it's one of those things where if you are in a position of power, you're a glorified babysitter at the end of the day. I know it sounds horrible, but that's what you are. Right? But at the same time, I can tell you, and I worked with different companies, Peloton, Tesla, Orange Theory, all these places, right? And one of the things that they've noticed, or that I've noticed, is that a lot of these companies, they focus so much on the metrics that they forget to focus on the people. And I told them this one time, like, I'll give you an example. When I saw one of the sales reps stealing customers from another sales rep because they weren't doing so well, they're just like, I just need to make goal, right? And what I've noticed is that they just didn't know how to sell. And the other person even did everything in their power to try to coach them, but they didn't want that. They just wanted the sale, and they just thought, oh, it comes easy because it's a brand name, right? But there is some sort of convincing, especially in sales. You have to convince them, but you have to let them convince themselves, and that's another time for another story. But in this case, what you're trying to do, Bradley, is that when you're talking to your people, is that you have to say it, and I'll give you an example, right? As soon as you get everybody in, you're like, okay, cool. So everybody's here. Just want to let you know we're not doing so well right now. That's fine, okay? Because wipe the slate clean. This is what I think that we should do, okay? X, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. You put in your metrics, you do whatever, right? But the biggest thing is you gotta let them know, hey, I am there for every single one of you. I do not want you guys to fail, okay? I know the big wigs up there are not happy about what we're doing, but that's fine though. I'll deal with them. That's my problem. What I just want you guys to do, and do me a favor, is do your best, okay? If you give it 100% every day and you do what you're supposed to do, you follow up, you talk to people, you treat them with respect, you respect their decisions, you do all these things. And let's say, and if you do everything by the book, and you go above and beyond it at times, then you'll win. But you can't do it if you're half-assing it, and you just can't, right? So you have to put yourself out there. And also your tonality, right? You can't just be like, hey, you guys, we're not doing well, right? You got to be like, hey, guys, I know you're not doing well. I understand that. Like, Jess, I've noticed that you've been missing calls or you're afraid. Let's go by this one by one. I want everybody to feel comfortable. One team, one fight, okay? I tell them all the time, especially with me. Former Navy, went into the Marines afterwards, and then I've learned a lot about leadership. But what I've learned in the civilian sector is you cannot speak to people like it's a command, okay? The difference between military and civilian is completely different. I can tell somebody in the military, hey, shut the fuck up and do as I say, because I'm your superior. Whereas in the real world, once I get out of it, you can't speak to people like that because they get really sensitive, which they have every right to be, but you got to separate yourself from being that leader versus you, right? Yeah. And that's the thing too, is you got to work on your tonality first and foremost, but you have to care about the people that you're working with. Do you understand that? Because right now, all I hear is numbers.
Basically, I'm just trying to make sure that I can see my staff's calls. So I added in hair extensions on hard,
Yeah.
but I can't join the call. It keeps saying that I just can't monitor it.
And it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. All right, next person. Yeah, give me some context.
I don't know how to find that. I'm new to this software, being honest with you.
Okay, cool. All right.
Seven, 727.
Yeah, okay.
So 727 213.
Yeah, so for you guys tuning in right now,
16.
this person has a problem with an employee and they don't know how to, communicate with them without offending them, right?
103.
And so the best way to do this is when you see them, okay? You go up, you see them. Let's call her Jess. Hey, Jess, what's going on? How you doing today? Good? Okay, cool. Hey, Jess, if you don't mind, you have 5 minutes? Cool. Let me talk to you real quick. Let's walk to my office, right? What you're doing there is you're using what's called an I care tonality, right? Like very subtle. You're not aggressive. Just like, hey, yeah, you got 5 minutes? And let me talk to you. Let me talk to you for a second. Let's walk into my office real quick. Just show like you don't care, when you're doing it. And so you go in there, and you're like, cool. Then you see Jess, and you basically tell her, hey, just I'd like to talk to you about something, but first off, how's everything going right now? And when you do that, they'll either close you in, or they'll tell you.
For
right?
437, 430.
But the thing about it is, it'll go either way, and you have to make sure that you do that, because if you don't and you just go straight into the problem, you're not going to get anywhere, right? You got to let their defenses down first. So come in, hey, Jess, before we get started, just want to let you know, just real quick, how's everything with you right now? And they'll just be like, oh, everything's fine. It's like, you got to be honest and be like, hey, Jess, like, be honest with me. You know me, I know you. We don't know each other 100%, but tell me what's going on with you. It doesn't sound like you're okay. And they're like, no, I'm fine. Okay. And then this is where you're like, okay, you gave him that first chance. Second chances, or the next part is, all right, so Jess, here's what I'm noticing. You missed a couple of days at work here. You called out, and it's really hurting the team. A lot of people are working overtime. Things aren't where they're supposed to be, and the team is suffering for it, man. Like, talk to me. What's going on? And two things are going to happen. She's either going to deny it, or she's going to tell you what's going on in her life, right? And here's the thing. I always like to give the rule of three, right? Because you ask, did he put the wall up? You ask again, and they're like, well, I'm not going to talk about it. Then you give them the third time. Like, okay, look, I'm going to ask you one more time. Jess, what's going on with you? Because here's the thing. We cannot fix if we don't know what's broken, right? If there's something that's happening outside of here, I need to know what that is, because if I don't, then we can't fix this issue. Does that make sense? Because if it's a transportation issue, we can fix that. If it's an issue that you probably need to take some time off because something happened, we can change that, right? Versus us being, just that being where you're at. Does that make sense? We can't do that. And then so if she continues to do that, I'm like, Jess, what's the one thing that I spoke about that we are who we say we are? Oh, crap. Right? We spoke about who we are as a person, right? And they're going to be like, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like this. Oh, shoot. That's weird. Cool. That's who you are, right? So you have to, so when they're there, you got to use the I care, you have to use the I care notality. You got to use the I care tonality. It's very important, because you have to genuinely show that you care. The eye contact, the way you present yourself. Jess, I'm worried about you. I'm really worried about you. What's going on? Show that concern. And there's so many ways. It's more than just the words. Your body language will show if you truly care or not, okay? If you show them, hey, Jess, I'm worried about you. What's going on in your life? Let me know what's going on with you. I need to know what's going on, because if I don't, we can't fix it, right? Because yes, at the end of the day, it is a business, but at the same time, my company is about people first, right? And I want to make sure that the people that work for me, that I take care of them. And when I do, then we can fix the problem, okay? I mean, if it's something embarrassing that you don't want to talk about, it's one thing. But if it's something that if it's something that I can help you assist with, then by all means, let's do it, right? And, and most of the time, if you do it just right, because it requires a little bit of practice, then they'll open up. And once they open up, then you're like, okay, cool. Because there's nobody that's not gonna not tell you anything. They have to, but there has to be a level of trust. Okay, and this is why I always tell you guys as well, if you guys are listening, tuning in right now, when you do your interview questions, you always ask them, specific questions. And I've already laid that out to you guys from last year's live stream, where I told you guys these are specific questions that you ask during the interview, because what that does is once they answer it, you can always pull it out and say, hey, look, you told me you had this A, B, C, X, Y, Z skills. Now, from what you're telling me and what you're doing is completely different. What's going on here? Did I make a mistake, right? And, when you call them out on it, they're going to feel like, oh my gosh, and you just work from it from there. But it's going to take time. Is it uncomfortable to do? Absolutely, but it's necessary, you know. And not only that, it helps you as once you're moving up in ranks because it becomes very difficult. You know, there's not one conversation that's uncomfortable to have. You're always going to have those uncomfortable conversations, but it's up. But first and foremost, you have to keep yourself accountable. Okay. I always tell people this all the time. There's no one bad business out there. I believe every business out there was created by somebody who bet on themselves first and made them, you know, and believed in a vision, and they went on to act on that vision. The only difference is the people that work for them that make it not so great to work in, you know, because selfish reasons, ego, all these things, and it's normal. But it really depends on how you handle your staff. I will say this, one of the best places I ever worked at, I remember my boss telling me this a long time ago. Look, I don't care how it gets done or what you do. Everybody has their own style. Do it, fix it, do what you got to do, and we all win at the end, okay? I'm not going to micromanage you. You guys do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, number one, no freaking drama. As soon as I hear something about somebody else that comes out of your mouth through the grapevine or rumors, you're out. There is no two, three strikes, you're out rule. There's one. If I hear anybody talk bad about anybody, you're out. Zero policy on rumors, because one team, one fight. I'm like, hey, gotcha. And you know what? One of the best teams I ever worked for. You know, because there was no egos involved. You know. But yeah. Cool.
Hi, how are you?
All right. All right, next person. You guys can hear me, right? Cool. All right, so right now, as they're trying to get the next person in, let's get questions here.
Yeah, so I'm on the.
Yeah, so believe it or not,
So it says that you don't have permission.
I wasn't like extrovert this way, right? I wasn't always like that. I was, you know, introvert as a kid, but at the same time, I always had inspiration. I watched a lot of television as a kid, you know, when it was huge, before social media, all this other stuff. So I was born in a different era. But at the end of the day, it really shaped me to who I was now, you know, because it really helped me with, you know, going through some bad stuff, but at the same time putting things into perspective. It's good. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. But it's experience, my friends. It's not always practice. It'll be cringe, it'll be chaotic. You will get laughed at. It will happen. But it really is up to you to move forward, no matter what. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. Next person in.
Their extensions, but you can see that I don't have the proper
Okay.
permissions for this.
Okay, shoot, what's your question? All right. So just to give you guys some context, you guys can't hear the other person, so I have to relay it back to you guys, right? So I just want to let you know that. Okay, so I got Steve about how to get a point across without being disrespectful, right? And he's basically saying, I don't want to piss anybody off, right?
I can't join that call.
But the problem is with that.
I try to join and it basically just states that I don't have the proper permissions for that. So I probably have to do with permissions, right? So how do we change permissions?
Okay, so that's an easy one to answer. You can't be apologetic. You can't say I'm sorry like 13,000 times. That's what you're doing. When you do that, you take away authority from yourself. Does that make sense, guys? When you explain, and like I said, it's going to happen. You're going to piss somebody off. It's part of the game, right? And here's the thing: if you continue to do that, you're going to be portrayed as that, and it's really hard to bounce off, especially if you're somebody's boss. As soon as you become like, I call these people like weak bosses, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. That's their portrayal of you. You only get one shot to make that first impression, especially when you go into something. Because as soon as they know what your personality is, it's very difficult to come out of it. You either who you are, or you're better off going to another company and transforming yourself and being somebody else, or being that person, that position of authority. Because you can't apologize your way out of that one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So while my buddy here gets the next person through, we're just gonna go through the FAQs real quick.
No, that's for next. Practice. For that question, it's not working.
So practice lip drills.
You're on this call.
Using tongue twisters is going to really help with articulation, especially when you're presenting. The last thing you want to do is like whatever. You got to practice articulation, right? Okay. Yep. Okay. What's your question? Mm-hmm. Question. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, absolutely. All the time, even now. No, standing up and presenting on a stage is nerve-wracking. It truly is. It's like you never get over it. But I've changed the way I've kind of thought about how I present now. So instead of me getting nervous, right? Because I normally work out at this gym over here, and then I present later on, and then you get that excess adrenaline, right? That's what that is. It's okay to feel that way, but you always got to remember who you're doing it for to begin with. If you're doing it out of fear because of people judging you, you're not going to be able to be yourself. You got to remember that what you're doing it for is for them. That's what you're doing it for. Because people go there to find answers to a question they have, and they may or may not find it from you, but at least they kind of get some insight into figuring out where they should be heading. You're not looking to reach out to every single person that's on that seat. It could be, let's say, out of 100 people, you might reach out to maybe 1 or 2 people.
On the application or
That's how it works, You won't reach out to anybody. Just like sales. You can reach out to 100 people. You get 20 people to call. You get 10 people to follow up, and then you get 2 signed up, depending on how you close. It's the same deal. No, but keep pushing, man. It's fine. No, you're good.
what's next?
He's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You
Yeah.
do not have.
Okay, so you're saying, okay, so Devin had a second question about, he says he sounds boring, right? Give me an example. Like do like a 20-second presentation. Yeah, go ahead.
Delete that. Do what again? I'm sorry.
I gotcha. Okay.
Delete the application.
Cool. Okay. So your issue right now is you're basically speaking like, you sound monotone right now. Like literally you're like this, right? You guys can see right now.
Okay.
Is literally here, right? There's no vocal variety in your voice as you're speaking. You're just like, hey guys, my name is Devin. Here's where I am today, and we're going to be speaking this, and this. It sounds average. It sounds vanilla. It's like there has to be, it has to do this. There has to be some variety, right? For example, you guys here, let me know right now. Everybody here listen to music, yes? Everybody should. I mean, if you guys don't, I don't even know what planet you're from. Everybody here listens to music, any kind of music, right? If you notice any kind of music you hear, there's beats playing, there's the artist singing the song, there's a crescendo, there's all these things happening, right? And they take you on this journey. And that's how you're going to be less boring. And it's going to take practice. It's going to take experience to do that, right? So Devin, when you're speaking, you're just like, hey, my name is Devin, I'm so-and-so, and here's what I'm looking to do today. I always like to start off with a joke, right? I'm just like, okay, cool. How many people here had ice cream today? Because I love ice cream. They're just like, oh, this guy's lame. Cool. Anyways, you guys think I'm lame, whatever. So first off, I'm Devin. I work for ABC Company. And the reason why I'm here is I want to show you guys, and just kind of modulate your voice, use upward, downward tonality, all this other stuff, and just kind of play with it, right? And then just gauge the reaction. This is why I tell you guys all the time, when you're doing your speeches, when you're doing your talks, when you're doing your presentations, you're going to do endless, right? Your goal is to do as many as you can and figure out where that happy medium is, right? It's like a business, right? You create a product or a service, you test it out, test and learn, test and learn, test and learn. You figure out what works, what doesn't. You go back to the drawing board, you take this out, you put this in, you go back out there, you test it, and then you figure out, if it's successful or not. If it works, then you mass produce it. If you don't, then you cut off what is not needed and then try again, right? I can't give you a certain date on that. I wish I did. I wish it can be like, yeah, it'll take 3 days. Everybody's different. I've seen people that improved their communication skills in in a month. I've seen people that did it in 3 months, 4 months. It just really depends on when it clicks, right? And here's the thing. It shouldn't even be when it clicks. It should just be about constantly doing it. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, next question is, let's see here. So just so that way you guys know, you guys can't hear whatever somebody else is saying, so I got to kind of provide context so you guys know what's going on the other side of the call, because right now you guys are only able to hear me, not the other way around. So my team is trying to fix that other end. I don't even think they're going to be able to fix this on the live stream, but the next time that we go in, it should be fixed, so that way you can kind of hear the calls going through while I provide the answer to their questions. Yep. Okay. All right, so cool. All right, cool. You said Rob? Yeah, nice to meet you, Rob. What's your question? Okay, interview. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay, cool. If I was if I interviewed you and I asked you that same question, how would you respond? Go.
Can you just contact your admin or whoever's in charge and please just fix it for me? It's because we're wasting time here, just going in circles and it's not doing anything. And I hate to be rude, but it's just that I just feel I'm wasting time here. Right? Just
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, that sounds good, Rob. So, Rob, let me ask you a question. Why did you want to pursue this decision or this position in the first place? What got you excited, or what got you to get that intention of trying to apply for our company? Like, what was it about our company that interests you? Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Was there a time in your life where you wanted to get into this and then now you're applying, you're trying to interview for this position?
I don't see that.
All right, so tell me a little bit about that.
I don't see that, sir. I go on settings and then where do I go?
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
shows phone.
All right, so guys, just to give you context, I won't really go into what he said, but when he did his tell me a little bit about yourself, he put in his
A ring extension.
he put in this ability to he told him a little bit about himself and then his accomplishments and everything else. And then after that, he was like, hey, I told him what got you to apply for this position in the first place? Like, why our company, right? And he was explaining, well, this is what this is about. You guys are about integrity, love integrity. And, before I even wanted to get into this position as a fitness coach, I always loved playing sports. I was in soccer, basketball, yada, yada, yada. So
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
in that case, Rob, what you said, the questions I just asked you on the later side, which was like 2 seconds ago, that's how you open up with tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay? Because a lot of people, when they ask the questions, everybody likes to give the vanilla answer. Oh yeah, I started this 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, and I've done this, I did $100,000 in sales, XYZ, ABC, whatever, right? And that's what happened, right? So instead of doing it that way, what you should do is open up with a story, okay? And everybody loves stories. That's what makes you stand out from everybody else, right? So again, try it again. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Go.
Yes, at the bottom there should be.
Okay, good.
You just keep scrolling all the way down after you can find it.
No, don't talk about your business. Talk about your story, how you got to it. Keep going, because that sounded good. Don't move into your accomplishments. Continue on with your story. Cool. All right.
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to sign this at.
Let's see if I can.
Good. Okay, now tie in your accomplishment, or actually, don't even mention about accomplishments. Just continue on with your story.
Yeah, it should be like a button next to signature, where you like you tap it. I'm sorry. Like
Okay, cool, awesome.
whenever you click the button, does it ask for like your
Okay.
signature that way you can auto signature?
Ron, trying to think, Ron.
Yeah, you too. How's your drive?
Okay, so how he said it was, you went into the store. It's like, hey, yeah, so a little bit about myself. As a kid growing up, I played sports. I played soccer, basketball, and I played that throughout high school and everything else. And I found joy into it because it put me in a position of not only learning about the sport itself, because I love to play sports and I love, and I'm a very competitive person, but it also taught me a lot about leadership, right? And the reason why I came up with this job, or the reason why I'm applying for this job, is because this job requires me to take on that leadership role. And I believe that my experience, not just from sports, but other companies that I worked with in the past as well, because it did transcend to other opportunities, it also helped me get an understanding of how real businesses work. And if I do that and go with your company and being able to do that, then I'll be able to, you know, be a great asset. And one of the things that you guys mentioned on your, what is it called? That you put in your, I already lost it already. In your mission statement is that you put people first. And that's what I did growing up from sports. I always put people before me. I always like to see them get better before myself. And then he gave him an example, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And this is why I believe, and the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because it takes much more than just being a trainer, but to also focus on everything around me. And I believe that my experience from the past and the opportunities that have opened up after that has transcended me and brought me to this position, this opportunity with you guys. And I believe that if I'm here, then I can pass on my experiences as well as my accomplishments to help you guys get to that next level. Something like that, right? That sounds better than just, a little bit about me. So I worked in this for ABC, XYZ, blah, 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 right? Which everybody does that. Everybody's exactly the same. You're not trying to be the same. You're trying to be different. Do you understand that? And that's how you stand out. It's not always about your accomplishments. It's how you stand out. I'll give you an example. 5 years ago, I applied for a job that I didn't freaking care about, okay? And I did everything I did. And then for some reason, towards the end, the person goes, okay, cool, really appreciate it. We'll give you a call and stay in touch. And then I sent a follow-up email later on thanking them for that opportunity, right? The reason why they hired me was just two things. What was on my resume and the follow-up email. Because I did those two things, that's what draw them into what I had to say, but also how I answer the questions as well. I try to answer, and here's the thing, if you guys want to get a job or increase your chances of getting your foot in the door, you have to be different from others. You can't give them a vanilla answer because everybody, they've heard that before. Does that make sense? Yeah. So listen, again, tell me a little about yourself, story time, tie that in with your accomplishments, and tell them why you're a better fit. And always use their mission statement. Even though it sounds corny as fucking hell, you let them know that. Because that shows that you paid attention. You did the research, you know what they're about. And that's what most companies love, is when a person did their research. Even though it sounds cliche, the more you can make it sound like they know what you're talking about, you will increase your chances. And you have to believe in it as well. You can't look down. You got to look straight forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, can more than one person listen at the same time?
Cool. All right.
Is there only more than one person listen at the same time?
No.
All right.
So.
So bring
if
it-
you go to her,
Okay.
if you go to her messages, you'll see a text, like the last one, and it has a
Yeah, no.
code, like a 6-digit code.
Sorry, here, chill. Here, chill a second.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
This is with American Allen Protocol.
These are 8080? From or
That's why it's not working. So yeah.
So, just give me 110 for this one. Oh, no. So it's like from the top. No, not there.
Why?
Right, but that's why I want.
Okay.
This is a 15-point draw, which means that technically.
That's yeah.
Yes.
Paul's
Mm.
such a shit.
Though you can't get them to do more.
Yes. Well, did you get that 6-digit code?
Why are you pushing on more responsibilities to your people? First off,
Only
okay,
thing is that
because you believe that they're ready for the next level. Okay.
if I tell them straight up, I'm not
Are
teaching
you
them
on her text?
And are they receptive to that, or are they kind of are you experiencing pushback from what they're saying?
It should be like the last search.
Yeah.
Plays this. You don't have to play it.
So you gotta okay. Then you if you're getting pushback, then don't do it. You're gonna lose
Are
them.
you on text or email?
Mm-hmm.
Does she have an iPhone or Android?
Yeah, you gotta have that honest conversation. It's the only way it's gonna work. And here's another thing too, guys. You cannot avoid situations that are already there. If there's a problem, you have to fix it. Is it uncomfortable? Hell yes, it is. But you have to fix that problem right there. Because if you don't, and you just let it sit, it's gonna. And you have to understand that.
George said he's leaving
Mhm.
today. I think in an hour. He'll be out of the office. Okay. So honestly, I'm scared.
So yeah, you guys gotta flip it, man.
He'll go back. Either he'll go back today or tomorrow.
Test it, right?
He'll test it.
He'll bring in, you can bring in whoever. I don't think
Yeah.
he's going to Arizona.
Again.
Yep.
I'm just.
Yeah, you gotta push it back.
We guess, yesterday you
Yep.
ran some tests with Mark. Mark knows
So
about.
he said, so I spoke with him and he was like, bro, honestly, I
Hmm.
can set it up, precedent March.
Yeah, how so?
When did you speak to him? Oh, okay. But
I told him like, bro, like, Monday we don't have to go, so.
Okay.
I spoke
What are you doing?
Throw it there.
I
Yeah.
spoke to Mark and he said he.
Mm.
Did some stuff earlier yesterday. Okay, so I think.
Perfect.
It's
And then
caught up.
and then now you'll get another text with that.
Well, let's get you
Same
set up.
process that we
You
just.
still only have Egypt and global, right, for Spanish?
Yeah, everybody's gonna be.
Yep.
Everybody's gonna be.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, we'll still have them better in both those.
Okay.
Like some of them, yeah. Just-
That's fine.
You don't have spreadsheets, we'll do
Yeah.
it all the files.
For global, for.
Global's been doing shit recently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So overall, in March, it's still been the best. So when you look at like.
Yeah, so that question is what happens when you're presenting and then you blank out? What do? Right? What I always like to do, my go-to, especially if I blank out, because it happens to the best of us, even myself, right? When I'm doing a talk and then I blank out and forget what I'm going to say, I make fun of the situation, right? I say stuff like, oh my gosh, I can't remember. Holy crap. You know, it must be the 9 coffees I had this morning. Holy moly, man, that coffee must be so good that it made me forget about What's important to you guys? Does anybody know what where we were on? Show of hands, whatever. And I make it a joke, right? What that does is it kills the anxiety because you're going to get that anxiety attack feeling, right? Especially when you're presenting. And then when you get the audience involved, you're like, oh, that's right. I was talking about what not to do, right? Don't drink and drive, number one. And then just make people laugh. And then you'll most likely remember it. If you don't, you're just like, okay, I don't remember it. Let's move on. Next topic. Or just cut your, or just cut it short. Cut your talks short. Nobody wants to sit there for an hour. If you can do it within 15 minutes, that's freaking awesome. Or even less than that. Sometimes if you do it for 5, which is pretty quick, then people are going to be like, what the hell did I just listen to? But make sure that those 5 minutes count, right? From beginning to end, right? And that's why your PowerPoint presentations are up there. Oh, another thing too, when you guys are doing your PowerPoint presentations, especially if you're, it's more of a visual aid than anything. And you don't want to literally say everything that's on there, because once you do, you're going to be like, you just make yourself look like an amateur, and that's not what they paid you for, right? You're there to get the message across, get in and get out. That's what you're there. That's what you're there to do. Does that make sense? Cool.
Looks like I have some questions for you, actually. Are you prescribed Symbicort? Or it's like or it's generic equivalent? Prescribed for COPD? You don't take it anymore? It's for the COPD, right?
Just put it through. Yeah.
White man. Oh, actually, probably better. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you came too? Okay.
Cool. Sure.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Did you take it?
Yeah.
He's an old man, bro.
All right.
He's a poor guy. Nice to meet you.
What about Alpatero?
He's like, oh, oh, Preston's coming. I said, yeah. Oh, he's the one guy from Atlanta. He said, that's
Yeah.
Grant. He said,
All right.
Preston. I was like, yeah.
It's like another medication.
Okay, I'll see him when I see him. I'm like, yeah, okay, you will. And I was like, please don't meet you. Yeah.
My dad is the same.
Albitoro?
Okay, so
You've known him for 27
Yeah.
years. How do you? That's right. He's with Olivia. No, that's his sister.
Once a year.
you never be the one to give your first number. No, you get the other person to give your first number or their number. So that way you can understand where they're coming from, right?
COPD?
Whoever puts out the first number first loses. Right, and you can negotiate from there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I'm checking right now. Let me just see something. Because you're not taking it currently.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too, is one thing that you guys also have to remember, you gotta master this, is you gotta listen in. Well, I mean, they'll give you what I like to call the answers to the test, right? So the more they talk, the more they say stuff, literally you're gathering evidence. This is why in court, when you have the judge, you have the judge, you have the lawyer, and then you have with the prosecutor, it's literally a game of lawyer versus prosecutor, and the judge determines the winner, right? He or she who can gather the most evidence, and that can literally spin it in a way in their favor, wins the game, right? So, and that's how it works. Yep. And that's how you do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yours got hers popped up.
Yeah, so make sure that the more they speak, the more you can use that against them, right? When somebody's like, I need this number, it's like, oh, no, we'll get to that for a second. We will. Just let me help understand you first from a perspective, because I don't even know if we can help you, right? Of course, it's like, I just need to know what the number is. I'm like, okay, so let me ask you this. The number in itself, right? Actually, first off, why'd you reach out to us in the first place? And if they're like, well, you know,
But I would also just point
I
out
need
too, like,
this. Okay, but why do you need it?
for
Well, I need a place to stay, as an example. And they're like, okay, what do you, for you to find a decent place to stay, what would it be worth to you? Well, I don't know. That's why I asked you guys for a number. I'm like, I understand that. But going back to what you're saying, let me ask you this. Where did you live last time and how much were you paying? Well, you know, I paid $500 a month on my, on my rent. I'm like, okay. Now, I mean, it sounds like a great deal to me. Why didn't you go there? Right? Why didn't you stay there? And like, well, they're kicking me out. I'm like, for what? Like, well, because they're selling the house. Oh, that's tough. Have you went anywhere else to find something that's for 500? Well, I tried, but there's nobody else. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, I mean, if you think about it, you're going to be paying more than 500 because you've gotten a pretty good deal a long time ago. So now it's up to you to find out the next best thing. Okay. For myself, as an example, back then, I stayed in an apartment that was like for $600-700 at one point, right? This was like 8 years ago. Now it's quadrupled. It's went up to about ×2. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. But I have to find somewhere that's decent. Does that make sense? So, but in this case, what is it that you're looking for? I can help you figure out what that is now, and then you dive into it and you come up with a solution. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna just send you one more text message.
And that's why the why is important. People don't ask the why questions too often because they're scared. That's the unspoken objective, or the question, right? Afraid to ask the hard questions is what it's called. You gotta ask the hard questions. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Good luck, man. That's great. Cool, cool. All right. Next up.
347 347 6 7 8.
Dina. All right.
All right, I'm gonna send you that.
Nice to meet you, Dina. How are you? All right. What's your question?
Since I reached
Okay.
square feet.
Yeah.
I don't think it has square feet, but like, it's honestly, I would say. Here to here, 4 or 5 desks inside.
Yeah. So. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be here for a while.
Probably here.
Yes, just because we haven't done that.
The answer to that, Dina, is that you don't. You
No, no, sir.
like, even for me, I feel it too at times. Like, it's hard to stay cool under pressure. Like, externally, it doesn't show like I'm unfazed, right? But internally, I feel it 1,000%. It's unavoidable, right? It's reps. It's reps. As much as I want to give you like a solid answer, say, yeah, it is what it is, it's literal. Like, it sounds general, but it's reps, it's experience. You got to continue to do it, right? And if you don't do it often, it'll come back, it'll come back to haunt you.
Verify that it went through.
Yeah. And that's why you can't be afraid to, to put yourself out there. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there like that. No. Take every chance, every shot. You'll miss, 1,000%.
Gavinton? Are you taking Gavinton right now for seniors?
But you can, you know what I mean? You close that gap. Once you do it so often that you don't even feel it no more because you know exactly how it feels, right? So continue on, practice, take as many talks as you can. And I always say this to everybody that's presenting, always know and look at your audience, see how they're reacting to it. That's the biggest change. That's the biggest shift that you're going to find, especially when you're talking and presenting. Because once you can see how everyone's reacting, then that's how you can change certain things about your talk, tonality, body language, gestures, hand gestures, all these things. Okay, it's very important because as soon as you see somebody yawn, your talks are not that interesting. Does that make sense? It's one thing if you get a reaction, but if they're literally like yawning and they're just there just to be there, you've already lost them. Very difficult to get them back. And that's not what you want. You do not want to lose them because they will tune out, they'll be on their phone, and then you're wasting your time. Do not waste your own time.
I'll follow up with you guys again.
And do not waste your time. Okay?
I won't forget it.
Actually, when that happens, right, when that happens, if you start to lose people, just start talking to the audience,
Yes, of course.
right? And that person, let's say that person is yawning. I said, hey, the person yawning over there, man, it's like, hey, you call them out for it. I know it makes you look like a jerk, but if you call them out, be like, hey, it sounds like it looks like you're bored. What's going on? Did you get enough coffee last night? Like, oh, no, I'm just tired. Yeah. Real quick, and just be honest. Tell the crowd, say, hey, out of curiosity, real quick, who in here thinks my talk is boring? And you can be honest. You can raise your hand because I'm here to get better. You get a few hands up, right? The people that have their hands up, so let me ask you a question. Again, I'm not here to call you out. I'm just here just to get better, right? What is it about my talk that's boring? Because I want to get better at this. I'll be like, oh, it's just, the topics just sound super dry. Okay. All right. And then the person asks them a question. How can I help you get better? Like, what's your story? Give them the mic. Well, I have this issue. And then they're like, cool. You take the mic back and be like, thank you, Dina, for that question. Here's how I would approach that, right? So you have this issue. You want to be able to bring it in, right? And the next thing you know, now you start getting the crowd back into it. Now you start getting people from tuning off to tuning in because now you're having them. Once you get the crowd participating, you want to be engaging with your audience. It's just like YouTube. It's just like social media. You got to get them engaged. It's literally them being bored is like them scrolling, right? Everybody's attention spans are screwed. Literally, worse than a goldfish. They say 7 seconds and then done. It's more like 5 now. It truly is like 5. It truly is like 5. So you got to continue to get them engaged, right? Different things, tonality. It can be high pitched, like, hey, what's going on, guys, blah, blah, blah. And then you just bring it down and just start, downplaying your tone. Like, hey, start talking like Darth Vader. So this is how I think. 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 You play with it, right? You talk to people. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm Roy. Hey, how you doing? I'm Roy. But do it based off of your personality, but also at the same time, you can't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Because at the end of the day, of course, you want to, this is what I believe. It's not about you being,
Like a manager for what I'm just
it's not you about being yourself. Or how about this? Change that yourself to style. Your style, right? Because everybody's style is different. Some person can be super flamboyant. Somebody can be as crazy as the Joker. And you got somebody else that's like Batman. You have two extremes, right? You have somebody that talks in a downward tonality, like they sound like they're mad at the world all the time. And then you have Joker that's really crazy. And he's like, yeah, here I am. If you want to do things, you don't do things for free, blah, 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 right? And he has fun with it. That's why people remember the Joker, right? Because he has variety in his tone. He can literally speak in a downward tonality, and he can speak at a highward tonality because he's a Joker. But at the end of the day, he does not care of what people think. Because now people are paying attention to him. Even Batman, right? A lot of the things that he says may be brutal, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And that's why people remember Heath Ledger and not so much Christian Bale and his portrayal of Batman. Sorry, Jack, but Heath was the better Joker because he immersed himself in it. He was, I guess, what do you call it, method actor? Immersed himself into that role. People freaked out, believe it or not. A lot of things that he did was improv, which is very important, especially when you get better in your communication skills. You got to take an improv class. Basically, what you're doing there is you're given a scenario and you act out, no script. You just go with the flow.
Typically, say you're 90%.
Does that make sense?
The one that we sold
Yeah.
is a 15% drop. So you
But yeah,
guys-
and this is good though.
Right. We could build it into the rules, sure, but
I think premium, just leave it at premium.
yeah, premium's good. That way they can figure it out.
But no, that's where we're at right
They
now.
realize, say they're at 80 points and their average is like 70, then they can just, you know.
Why did it
When I was
freeze?
doing
Make that
when I was doing
very-
sales at Verizon, they call like
Oh boy,
pips. It's like how many pips you get to, it's like a metric or whatever.
did it freeze?
It's a move now.
But yeah,
I have a potential fucking
Bing? God damn, this shit's fast. What is this?
but yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. What's up, bro?
What's up with you?
Fuck, this thing is fast, bro.
Just pull down. There.
It's on the dot. I drive fast, bro. I was whipping that truck last night. I'll put that to you guys.
But yeah,
I'm gonna go for a haircut right now.
FAQ.
I'm gonna,
I need a haircut.
It's frequent.
Fucking rough Casper. Can't cheat on my barber, bro. Last time I did that.
You gotta talk to your team about that first, because
No, sick, no.
without your team, you guys aren't gonna go far. You can't.
Any follow-ups for these,
Well, no, Preston's gonna come too, right?
No, it's
1, 2, 3, 4. That's already 4.
yeah. You guys aren't gonna go far with what you have right now.
Under 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You just went through fast 20 minutes.
That's six.
Okay. So what's the
Yeah.
I think he's gonna pass.
What's the goal?
Under 7, do you, like, you know what I mean? Say under 10 is good.
Start there.
Yeah.
We'll get the time to live with. I think Stanley's pretty motivated too.
I'm gonna text him right now.
Yeah, that's not the goal though. You know.
I'm gonna text him,
No, it's not even about that. Mm-mm. Yeah.
So how are we gonna split the deals until I get contracted?
How do you deal with gossip? You end it right then and there. You make it a zero. You have a zero tolerance policy for that. Like when I was in the Navy, right? Or yeah, when I was in the Navy, there was a zero tolerance for drugs, right? You get caught doing drugs, you're out. There's no second, third, fourth, 10,000 chances. You're done. So you got to make it a rule that you cannot have that going on, because that will destroy your team, and that's something that you do not want to fix or deal with, because it's a waste of freaking time. Like, don't get caught up into that, because people get caught up into that. No,
That word, I cannot say that word in my life.
you can't. No, don't get caught up into it. Yeah.
I think you're retarded.
But it's bringing it through.
Longest fucking word.
Yeah.
Bro, like 7 letters. And this.
Bro, when you like medical terms, I hate
Yeah.
it, like, they're just weird. They're so weird, bro. It's like,
But no.
It's like, bro, what does that mean? That's why I'm not a doctor, bro.
Yeah.
Or a nurse. I hate it.
yeah, it's some thoughts. I'm just asking Blackie, he gave it some thought.
Mhm. Yeah. Throw it down.
So just say Monday?
I mean, I didn't know if they hung answer leaving voice.
But yeah, you have to.
Or hell, I'll grab him on there.
Okay.
What do you do now?
But he's not the problem, though. It's you.
I'm gonna go for a haircut right now.
It is.
I need one 2 hours.
That's the issue.
Alright, thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait for your boy to come back so we can get his back.
Yeah.
Hey, crazy hat.
I see what you mean, how we. Yeah.
this.
I was like, oh,
Adderall,
shit.
$60.
Dude, fucking 200. It's that,
But that's where it goes through though.
So about 7 a.m.
Same.
7 a.m.
About 7 a.m. Go to bed for 2 hours. Pop another one.
That's literally me, bro.
Why the hell's this not
Monster.
working?
And he's like,